We have some breaking and heartbreaking news coming to you from Georgia. Now, the state of Georgia has abruptly canceled rental assistance with no explanation when there are a number of families depending on this money. Mind you, in every single debate for the governorship in the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp, incumbent governor, has said that the state of Georgia is suffering because of policies implemented by the Biden administration. Also, mind you, in every single debate, Stacey Abrams is pointing out the fact that Georgia is suffering, especially its most vulnerable citizens, under the leadership of Brian Kemp. Governor Brian Kemp literally took money set aside from COVID relief funds approved by President Biden and congressional Democrats, held those funds, and then doled it out to the neediest people in our state as an election Hail Mary. Never mind the fact that these hoarded Biden funds weren't even able to be accessed at first. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, more than $989 million was sent to the state of Georgia, with $641 million being disbursed to landlords. Where is the rest of this money going, or where has it already gone? Even though Governor Kemp constantly talks about the Biden administration and their impact on inflation, which the two are not really correlated, he fails to talk about how he is turning down federal funds to support and assist Georgians. Please pause to read.
Slide to the right, let it roll right off of your back, or to your backside, and get electrified. Roll right into your hips, shake it off like a Polaroid pig, and let it slide, slide, slip and slide, kiss your grooves, bye-bye.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here in Conversations with Taz for Freeform Friday. And if you're new, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a cornucopia, a potpourri, if you will, of commentary, stories, and everything else. Usually on Friday, it's predominantly filled with blind reactions and jokey joke videos. We will still have some of those, but Election Day is next week, and there's some serious topics that have come out that you may have already heard of, you may not have, so as always, I'm here to bring it to you. But we're going to start it off with some commentary on relationships. Let's take a look at this video, then we'll come back and talk about it.
Relationships is what he wants, and I could become his friend.
It's not a relationship enough. I thoroughly wanted a relationship. I just did not want you. It's not that. No. A relationship is not what he wanted. I just didn't want you.
With me. Okay.
There we go.
Let me say with me.
Praise God.
It makes that much difference.
It does.
He told me
No. I said you.
Like,
I don't like you. Stop looking at me like that. I don't like you like that. You are. You know when somebody look at you in church, you can't say like, "Hey, stop." Like, get away from me. You got.
Y'all seen this video? Oof. Damn, shorty in love, ain't she? You could just tell she head over heels for this man. Hand wash your dirty drawers kind of love. I love that for her. But with that being said, baby, I'd rather chop off my coochie lips and fry him in Chick-fil-A's peanut oil before I sit next to my partner and allow him to emphasize repeatedly how he did not want me. Oh, wait a minute. Babe, I think they heard you the first time. Really? So we really going here right now? You ain't like my hair or the way I dress? You leveled me up? Please. Lord, I see what you are doing for others. Respectfully, I don't want it. If I got to go through that amount of heartache and trauma for a man to see I'm where he need to be, Lord, keep him where he at. I don't want him.
If the roles were reversed and she was a man and he was a woman, people would be utterly creeped out that the wear you down, I'm going to disrespect your boundaries, I'm still going to keep putting myself in a position to potentially become your romantic mate, would be looked at as problematic. Now I know everybody is focusing on the fact that he keeps reiterating that he never wanted to be with her and all these different things. But you're missing the bigger picture. He set a boundary. He told her multiple times that he did not want a relationship with her. She pursued to the point where now they're married with children. There was another video months ago that I saw. I may have played it on here, I can't remember, where there was another woman who was so proud of all the disastrous things she did when a man broke up with her. And she asked him, she's like, well, now, we're married and we're expecting a baby. Are you happy? And he said, it's safer to be with you. See, a lot of times they don't want to be with you. They just realize there's no escape. That is not a badge of honor just so you can have that MRS in front of your name at all. And sometimes society makes me want to slam my head into a wall because y'all will focus on all the wrong shit. You're acting as if this man was wrong. No, it's the woman that was wrong. Do you think he's now supposed to coddle her? And before y'all try to say this is some pick-me shit, no, look at the situation. He told her in the Lord's house, I don't want you. And then when he realized she wasn't going away, she wasn't going to stop, he attempted to mold her into what he wanted physically and what he was actually attracted to. And she's hearing this. She's been hearing it. She stated that he said he did not want her. Yet she still clings to him. That is some put the lotion on or gets the hose again shit if I ever saw it. Just because you want something to be for you doesn't mean that it's meant for you. Let's dive into a little bit of history. Remember, I keep telling you all that there's a difference between Christianity every other place on the planet and Christianity within the United States? And that enslaved people were not necessarily introduced to Christianity due to chattel slavery. They were introduced to a bastardized version of Christianity through chattel slavery. And people wanted to argue me into the dirt. Let's roll this beautiful footage.
Inside Washington's Museum of the Bible, a single volume that is like no other. The so-called Slave Bible. Remarkable not for what's in it, but for what's not.
So about 90% of the Old Testament's been removed and about 50% of the New Testament's been removed. To put it another way, a normal King James Version has 1,189 chapters in it. The Slave Bible has only 232.
Missing are chapters and verses that might have encouraged uprisings. Book of Exodus, redacted. No story of Moses demanding Pharaoh, let my people go. Gone is Galatians, and the verse, there is neither bond nor free, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. And no Jeremiah, woe unto him that useth his neighbor's service without wages.
What they've left in are verses such as Ephesians 6:5, which is the famous verse, slaves be obedient to your master.
Now, surprisingly, this is part of a Christian tradition that goes back centuries. A religious leader.
funny enough, the Slate Bible is not the only redacted Bible, because the Catholic Bible does not have all of the verses, all of the books, all of the chapters that a Protestant Christian Bible would have. And see, Christianity, just like we see it now with the Christian nationalists, is always used for intimidation, especially in this cesspool of a nation. Take a look.
This guy lost the 1928 presidential election because Americans believed he was building a tunnel from DC to Rome so that he could take orders from the Pope and destroy America. This is Al Smith. He was the Democratic nominee running against Herbert Hoover, but more importantly, he was the first Catholic to run for president. Certain Americans became terrified that he would nullify Protestant marriages, destroy their Bibles, and take secret nightly underground meetings with the Pope. And these were mainstream beliefs. A senator from Alabama named Cotton Heflin delivered a speech on the Senate floor about this. He urged Americans to prepare for battle because Smith would lay the heavy hand of a Catholic state upon you and crush the life of Protestantism in America. And Smith would accomplish this by building a tunnel from DC to Rome where he would meet the Pope to take nightly orders. Following Heflin's speech, another Alabama representative named Lee Edmondson petitioned to make Heflin an admiral in the Navy so that he could command battleships to patrol the eastern coast to prevent a papal invasion. And this is how they portrayed him in the media. This is just one example of a cartoon from the era where you can see Smith, kneeling at the feet of the Pope. Now, did they really believe this? Probably not, but they knew that their base would. So Heflin and others went on a tour funded by a certain Southern organization, I don't want to say the name, but you know who I'm talking about, where they would show Smith at the building of the Holland Tunnel. Smith was governor of New York, so he was very involved with the building of the Holland Tunnel, but Heflin would show pictures and point to it and say, look, this is the tunnel. He's building the tunnel right now. This is for the Pope to come and, destroy your lives. And they would do things like put up roadside signs that said stuff like, for Hoover and America or Smith and the Pope, which side are you? And you might not be surprised to know, since you don't know this guy's name probably, that the campaign worked extremely well. He was destroyed in the 1928 election. Americans were already primed to be fearful of a Catholic president, and just like today, as back then, people will believe the most outrageous accusations, no matter how divorced from reality, so long as they conform to and justify their existing beliefs.
Tale as old as time. Want to know what United States culture is? That's it. That's what it is. It's theft, lying, fear-mongering, amongst other things. I'm from one historic politician to a current politician. Or maybe he's a faux-tician. But coming from CNBC.com, Trump advisor Kash Patel granted immunity to testify in Mar-a-Lago documents case. I'm just going to read the key points here. Trump advisor Kash Patel has been granted immunity by the Justice Department to testify in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, NBC News confirmed. Patel's testimony is considered crucial to answering the question of whether or not Trump declassified any of the documents he took with him to his Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago. Once again, I'm going to keep correcting this. It is considered a historical, a golf resort. It is not a private residence. Patel says he heard Trump verbally order the government secrets declassified. Patel is expected to testify soon in the case, NBC reported. Now, I know it says that Patel said he heard Trump verbally order the government documents declassified, which is not how this works, which is not how any of this works. But the fact that he asked for immunity, there's more that's going to come out. And he's deeper into this than I think anybody really realized. But from, race baiters onto this. It seems like racists are happy to be openly racist again. It's just fine by me. I prefer the overt racism to the covert racism. But now they're crying about not having dating apps exclusive for them. Sounds crazy? Yeah, but what have we learned here? Life is far more strange than fiction.
Why is there no dating app for racists?
There have been plenty of dating sites for racists and bigots, and I get it, you're not welcome in conventional dating spaces because you're profoundly ugly and unpleasant people, so you need to build your own safe space to try to date each other, but that's the funniest thing. Even conservatives don't want to date other conservatives. They certainly say they do, but there's absolutely no data to bear that out. And yeah, I'm absolutely drawing a parallel, actually an equivalency between conservatism and racism and bigotry, but let's take a look. The only even arguably successful one is Christian Mingle, which you might protest, but they were literally sued to allow LGBTQ dating on it. Anyway, you've got InfoWars ran a group called Dating Freedom Lovers, Donald Dater, Writer, Patrio. The Right Stuff is still technically alive and well, 1,600 people and the entire app. It's about to shut down too. And also, none of you know how to program, design, or build security. All of your apps suck. No one wants to be on them. And no one wants to date you because you're profoundly unpleasant.
Not to mention, I'm sure many of you have noticed, if not all of you, that there are a lot of racists who still use the tokenization of their spouses, their children, other family members, because they're generally attracted to who they are taught to hate. See, that's the problem. Even if somebody came out tomorrow with an incredibly designed, well-maintained dating app specifically for racists, they're not looking for one another. They're not. They're looking for who they convince themselves and everyone around them is lesser than them. And not as a kink thing. It's a genuine attraction. See, racism isn't just rooted in ignorance. It fervently fights against the person's best interest in their own desires. It is the ultimate hypocrisy. But you know, can't teach them anything. But Twitter's being sued. Let's take a look.
A class action lawsuit has been filed against Twitter over Elon Musk's plan to sack thousands of staffers, as employees were abruptly locked out of their company's Slack and email accounts and barred from going into the office ahead of mass layoffs Friday. The lawsuit was filed Thursday in San Francisco federal court after the company notified employees it would eliminate 3,700 jobs, half of its workforce, Bloomberg News reported. It alleges that employees weren't given enough notice of the mass layoffs in violation of the federal and California law. The suit also wants the court to restrict Twitter from soliciting staffers to sign documents that could give up their right to take part in litigation, according to the news outlet. In an effort to place Twitter on a healthy path, we will go through the difficult process of reducing our global workforce on Friday, an email was sent out to all employees. Honestly happy to be laid off, but the veil of Elon Musk is pierced, one employee wrote.
That's not the only power trip old fragile Elon is under. Take a look.
So Elon Musk nerfed AOC's access to Twitter after she trolled him for trying to charge $8 for a blue check mark. So much for free speech.
I see a text from my team saying, hey, let me know if you need any help with this Elon stuff. And I was like, what? So I pulled my Twitter app, and it's like, gone. Like, when you pull up your mentions and stuff like that, it's just like literally like a blank screen. I get a text from my team saying, hey, let me know if you need any help with this Elon stuff. And I was like, what? So I pulled my Twitter app, and it's like, gone. Like, when you pull up your mentions and stuff like that, it's just like literally like a blank screen.
This was the combo between AOC and Musk, by the way, that pretty much got her banned. You can pause to read, but she's basically making fun of him for trying to charge $8 a month for blue check marks and preferential views to cover up for the fact that he spent $44 billion on a dying app. And leave it up to one of the richest men of the world to make fun of someone for selling merch to raise money to tutor kids in low-income houses while paying unionized labor with healthcare. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is panicking over his Twitter buy so hard that he's making all of his employees work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, sleep in the office on the weekends, and he's planning on cutting the workforce in half. All that just to compensate for the fact that Twitter's been losing $200 million every year for the last 3 years, even though it's taken in $5 billion in advertising revenue. Which, by the way, that shit's about to die off because Gucci and Lululemon definitely don't want to buy ads next to kitty corn or people's tweets that have the N-word in them. Side note, if there were ever a moment in history where the working class could take down a billionaire and get rich off of it, this would be the moment. In order to finance the purchase of Twitter, Elon Musk had to borrow money from other banks and put up his Tesla stock as collateral. The interest payments alone every year on taking Twitter private is $1 billion with a B. Meanwhile, the only vision he has to make the company profitable is to charge people to send direct messages or put videos behind a paywall, all for an app where 10% of the users make up 90% of the tweets. And all this paid for by you and me because we fanboyed so hard for self-driving electric cars that at one point Tesla was trading 250 times its earnings. But what if one day we all woke up and was like, you know what? Tesla's kinda mid. Like, the Polestar's cheaper and better than the Model Y. And if you're rich enough to be able to afford a Plaid, you might as well get the Porsche. What if all of us just started shitting on Tesla and shorting the stock at the same time? Kind of like a GameStop moment part 2. All that Tesla leverage that you used to buy the Twitter stock just up in smoke. Oh, totally unrelated, but kind of funny.
Now, how Twitter has gone since the Elon Musk acquisition has not really been too surprising, hasn't been shocking. But here's one little tidbit that is a bit shocking. Coming from the BostonHerald.com. Sean Diddy Combs contributed at least $10 million to Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter. Yeah. Sean Diddy Combs is reportedly one of the investors who helped Elon Musk finalize his $44 billion takeover of Twitter. The Grammy-winning rapper and Making the Band producer invested at least $10 million into the deal, TMZ reported Friday. Sources close to Diddy told the entertainment news outlet that he believes in Musk's vision for the microblogging site without clarifying what that vision might be. Diddy, you owe quite a few black artists money. Diddy, you could have given to any of the thousands of black people within tech. You could have donated to Fanbase to help them. You could have donated to Blamazon to help them. You know, these are two wonderful apps. But you didn't. You chose the racist with familial ties to the apartheid era within the continent of Africa. This is why straight black men are the weakest link. Now, y'all, for this next one, it's 2 videos back to back. I don't even know how to preface this. All I can say, I hope you got a snack. I hope you have a beverage. Because, baby, this is going to be entertaining. Grab your popcorn. Because this is from the vault of... They did what now?
Some say the inmates have free reign.
8 News investigator Carrie O'Brien talks with an inmate whose music video has gone viral while he sits in a cell. Carrie.
Well, Deanna Juan, Deontay Gaines, also known as FNF Chop, is...
I don't like massages. Give me head in the back of the party. Fucking you on your first we menaging. Used to sleep in the back of garages. Now I'm running through rack after rack aid. I rob me a bitch off a back page. Might go buy me a ski and some black flags. All I had was some tree and some black J's. I'm not the one or the two, I'm him. That's the difference between me and you. I don't need no key. Just hopped out of a plane, bitches straight to the mall. Then the show, I don't need no sleep. I'm turned up now, gotta be low key. Yeah. Fuck what them niggas saying. Fuck what they talking about. If you see a hot, better call them out. I'm in the trap every day, ain't no calling out. Ain't about money, you don't know what you talking about. Leafs at the diamonds, these bitches ain't falling out. Yeah. Hopped in the pool with the watch, I done fucked up the rolling. Stingray sweet, drive the bitch like it's stolen. In the front is the trunk, in the back is the motor. Take off the top, leave it open. Take off the top, leave it open. I pop the perk, I can't, now I'm rolling. Gas so strong, bitch, I can't even smoke it. Sign me a deal, made me a meal. I'm still in the trenches, I ain't even joke. Got caught with your gun and you ain't even blow it. Secure strapped up, so I ain't even told.
Viral, but how did the rapper appear in it? He's behind bars in the city jail.
The deputies, they're okay with that. They're okay with you dancing and making a video.
Taking action, 8 News investigates. Thursday at 6.
I don't like massages. Give me a head in the back of the party. Fucking you and your friends, we menaging. Used to sleep in the back of garages. Now I'm running through rack after rack aid. I rob me a bitch off a back page. Might go buy me a ski and some black flags. All I had was some tree and some black J's. I'm not the one or the two, I'm him. That's the difference between me and you. I don't need no key. Just hopped out of a plane, bitches straight to the mall. Then the show, I don't need no sleep. I'm turned up now, gotta be low key. Yeah. Fuck what them niggas saying. Fuck what they talking about. If you see a hot, better call them out. I'm in the trap every day, ain't no calling out. Ain't about money, don't know what you talking about. Leafs at the diamonds, these bitches ain't falling out. Yeah. Hopped in the pool with the watch, I done fucked up the rolling. Stingray sweet, drive the bitch like it's stolen. In the front is the trunk, in the back is the motor. Take off the top, leave it open. Take off the top, leave it open. I pop the perk, I can't, now I'm rolling. Gas so strong, bitch, I can't even smoke it. Sign me a deal, made me a meal. I'm still in the trenches, I ain't even joke. Got caught with your gun and you ain't even blow it. Secure strapped up, so I ain't even told.
How did he get out? How did he get back in? How did they know that the video wasn't pre-recorded? You know, if everybody would stop using their talents for nefarious things, we would have a much more productive world. Let's see what Herschel Walker talking about now. Let's go.
I read that they asked the students what they were doing with the loan. Did y'all hear what they were doing with it? They're buying games, like video games. They're going on vacations. They're gambling. They're buying booze, drugs. I'm like, that's a weekend with Hunter Biden. That's not student loan debt relief. That's a weekend with Hunter Biden.
Now, see, I know other GOP candidates are just purposefully giving disinformation and misinformation regarding the student debt loan relief that they've temporarily suspended through litigation. But I really truly believe that old Hershey Hirsch believes this. They're not sending these people a check. And given that before things were suspended, it hasn't been that long since the ability to apply opened up. It's not instant. This is one of those instances where I'm glad he did not participate in the raising of any of his children, because woo chile. Now, I know everyone has seen this, everybody has witnessed this. You'll have a faceless profile or a random picture, nothing else, no other pictures behind a social media profile, and they always have to start off with, I'm a black man, I'm a black woman, and we all know they are not. Looks like somebody got caught in 4K on Reddit. Let's take a look.
Found out my wife is pretending to be a black man on Reddit. So this is gonna be kinda tough to type out. To start, we are both white. But essentially, I was on my wife's computer for work since mine had just kinda died the other day. I wasn't trying to snoop around or anything, but I noticed in the history that she had been on Reddit. I didn't know that she even used the site, so this came as a surprise. She knew I used it, so I was curious as to why she never mentioned it. I looked at the profile and needless to say I was beyond shocked at the posts and comments that I found. I won't go too much into detail as to not make anyone upset, but she was pretending to be a part of the black community, even going as far as pushing certain agendas, all while pretending to be someone she's not. She even had a profile picture of some random black guy. I saw she regularly got into arguments with people on the site as well. I am not sure how to even bring this up. Guess I just really needed to vent because I feel like image of the wife I knew is falling apart and I don't know how to deal with this. I'm using a throwaway because I seriously don't want this on my main account. She's been noticing I've been acting distant and not sticking around the house as much. She has asked me if I've been cheating. Of course deny and we get into arguments about it. I'm so stressed out. What the hell? Please do not ask for the user. I don't think I will share what it is because it's likely she will be bombarded with comments and then she'll know that I know. It'll just complicate things when I bring it up.
It's the wife that you've always known. You ignored her racism. It just came home to roost and to smack you in the face, and now you can no longer ignore it. Now, if you are fervently anti-racist, but the only solution is divorce. And for everybody who goes, oh no, they don't. First of all, let's not forget the one white male, he cisgendered, faux Christian politician that forgot to use his burner account to my as a gay black man. We know these accounts are everywhere, trying to sow discourse, pushing in the agendas that he doesn't want to bring up because it will make people mad. I guarantee you it's pushing stereotypes. But my guy, this is what I talk about a lot. Y'all have to stop protecting your racist relatives. You knew she was racist. You just ignored it. Because let me guess, you live in a neighborhood, you live in a town where you're like, it's not really going to come out because the demographic is... Let's take a pause for the cause and check out this season's ad.
Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art.
Y'all want to see something super weird? Elon Musk tweets this today. He says Twitter has a massive drop in revenue due to activist groups pressuring advertisers, even though nothing has changed with content moderation, and we did everything we could to appease the activists. Extremely messed up. They're trying to destroy free speech in America. It's almost word for word for this statement. America has had a massive dump in the economy due to the radical left pressuring local leaders for higher pay, even though nothing has changed under your favorite president doing everything he can to make those radicals happy. Bigly messed up. They're trying to destroy America. Almost word for word. Same style, same phrasing. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
what appeasements were made? Last time I checked, racist, bigots, anti-Semites, homophobes, transphobes, you name it, went buck wild. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. Elon himself started censoring people who criticized him. I guess. And you know, revisionist history happens in real time, as if we don't have eyes, ears, and comprehension skills, but okay. As you know, SCOTUS is seeing 2 cases regarding school admissions and affirmative action. This is a bit of a longer one. Get comfy, but pay close attention. Here's what you need to know.
I don't know if you heard, but affirmative action is being attacked in the Supreme Court, and it really looks like it'll be struck down in the coming months. But fun fact, I actually wrote an article in the Washington Post about this exact topic. So here are just a few things people often get wrong about it. First, affirmative action in university admissions is not meant to be a solution for historical discrimination like slavery or Jim Crow. Affirmative action serves specifically to increase diversity in the student body. And even then, race is just one metric of diversity that's being upheld. Others include socioeconomic status, home location and region, and whether or not one is the first person in their family to go to college. The reason why the pursuit of racial diversity has been allowed by the courts in the past is because racial diversity improves the educational experience for all students. Research shows that racial diversity helps students unlearn stereotypes, engage with other cultures, and raises levels of intellectual engagement and academic skill building, among other benefits that provide a fulfilling, transformative college experience. Without affirmative action, many colleges would have less racial diversity in terms of the representation of Black, Latino, and Native American students because in the modern day, right now, systemic discrimination affects our educational trajectory. The second thing that I want to cover is that socioeconomic status is considered in admissions, but it cannot be a proxy for race. While Black students, for example, are more likely to grow up in poverty and go to under-resourced schools, economic disenfranchisement is not the only impact of racism that affects education. There are Black kids that can go to elite or private schools and face explicit racial discrimination that severely impacts their ability to thrive in school. And it's not because they're low income, it's because they're Black. How is it fair then for that to go unacknowledged when it severely affects their academic journey? The University of Michigan and the University of California took away race-based affirmative action a long time ago, and they tried using proxies like class to create a racially diverse student body, even spending hundreds of millions of dollars in outreach initiatives, but they admit themselves that this did not work. This is because in the real world, race, by itself, is a hugely important factor in students' lives. Third, putting these racial minority groups against each other is intentional. One of the biggest modes of preferences in admissions at a place like Harvard is legacy admissions and/or admissions for the children of faculty and potential donors. In Harvard's class of 2022, more than 1 in every 3 students were legacy admits, and legacy applications were about 70% white. I wonder why. Legacy preferences, which were born out of exclusion, not inclusion, are a much more reasonable policy to blame for the discrimination described in these cases, not the system meant to help people who are disadvantaged by society already. Lastly, a lot of headlines are trying to sensationalize the idea that Asian Americans are against affirmative action, but data shows that about 69% of Asian Americans are actually for affirmative action. On top of this, we need to segregate. At schools like Yale, Laotian, Hmong, Cambodian, and Vietnamese American students have been shown to directly benefit from affirmative action in their applications. The Southeast Asia Resource Action Center shows that these Asian Americans would also be negatively affected in their representation by a ban on affirmative action. Comment if you want me to go deeper on any of these topics, but if you learned something new, please like, share, and follow for more.
Now, the reason why a lot of people are under the false idea that Asian Americans, well, the Asian community, is against affirmative action, especially on college campuses, is because one of the cases that's being heard via SCOTUS includes that, this affirmative action is not fair to white and Asian students. The wording is purposeful. They're trying to use the very harmful model minority trope. And like I told you before, last year on the United States Census, it was broadcast that now members of the Asian community can mark the census as white. They can put down their race as white on any paperwork. And it's like, okay, if you're going to take race away from education, as if they can't see what we look like in classrooms if we make it that far, are you going to take race off of every other piece of paperwork within the United States? And in the day and age of social media, all they have to do before they look at your application is type in your name to find out what you look like. And are you going to remove the personal essays the ability to talk about your circumstance, because your circumstances and your lived experience with globally are encapsulated within your skin. But hey, what do I know? Well, looks like we have a blonde rat. Let's get into it.
Reading complaints from my comment section, part 13. Okay. Worked at a seafood place. Lady said she hated seafood, ordered snow crab legs, argued that they weren't seafood, they were snow food because of the name. Man bought a certified diamond engagement ring. Fiance brings it back saying it's fake because it's too clear. The clarity grade was flawless. I once got blamed for the JFK assassination because I have long hair and piercings. I'm 24. All I did was deny him an alcohol sale at the store I worked with. Then he came in 2 months later and did it again. My son worked at a grocery store and someone asked for the grass-fed salmon. Customer called to ask me what time we closed. I said noon. She asked me what time that was. I work at a pizza place and someone ordered some pizza for a delivery. Minutes later, after it was delivered, they called saying that the order was wrong. So we ended up making a brand new order for them, which was 10 pizzas with a family-sized salad and a Diet Pepsi. Minutes later, they called again saying the whole order was wrong and we even got the drink wrong. I worked at a liquor store next to Costco and people would bring their grocery carts over with them to shop. Had a 30-minute argument with a lady because I couldn't direct her to the shrimp that she saw in someone else's cart. She refused to believe it came from Costco and I was being unreasonable. I worked for a Mexican restaurant and don't know how many times I've had to explain the difference between white and yellow queso. Thank you for calling Domino's. This is Redacted. Would you like to hear about our specials today? No, I just want to know if you have any specials going. Oh, I'm sorry. We sure don't. But if you'd like, I can tell you about our specials. I had a coworker that had a chainsaw thrown at her during Christmas rush hour because she couldn't return it. It wasn't even from our store. I used to work customer service at a Canadian Tire. I once had a lady verbally abuse me for not helping her search the aisles for a mop and bucket. In the end, I found out she didn't even need help at all. She already knew where the buckets were. She said she was testing my customer service skills. And at number 12, I work in a sub shop and a person complained, I said salt and pepper, not pepper and salt, when they said what toppings and seasonings. All right, let's get wholesome. I once went to take a blind man's order and he goes, I can tell by the sound of your voice that you have a beautiful smile. He made my day.
Okay. That one wasn't too bad. Sometimes y'all get a little crazy when y'all send me the live reacts and stuff. Y'all, I don't know what y'all be trying to do. What y'all be trying to do to me. But we're gonna close it out with this video. Only thing I know about this, the person who sent it to me labeled it black men preference. So I guess the preference patrol is at it again. Let's go.
We more likely to choose a white girl, Mexican girl, more than a black girl right now.
Cause y'all are under the impression that a woman is determined, well, her personality traits and her behavior is determined by the color of her skin. You don't realize the tropes that you're engaging in there. And generally, y'all, when you claim it's a preference, you always go and get someone who is a caricature of a black woman. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen some wonderful, healthy, reciprocating, interracial, and intraracial relationships. And guess what? Everybody has their own personal identity. They don't morph into the other person. Just like I've always found it very weird when I see people like, before he dated me, and now. So what was your attraction to him? To mold him into a caricature of a black man? Let Kyle be Kyle. But anywho, as always, thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz. Until next time, each one teach one, each one reach one.
We are days away from the midterms, and it is hard to overstate just how many extreme far-right candidates the GOP is running for high office on Tuesday. People who have said, done, been accused of some bonkers things. Let me try and cover them all in 60 seconds. Start the clock. There's Christina Karama running for Secretary of State in Michigan, who called abortion satanic and said you can be possessed by demons via sex. There's Carrie Lake, who's running for governor in Arizona and uses really weird Zoom filters, but has also called for the locking up of journalists, of Anthony Fauci, of their Democratic opponent. There's Doug Mastriano running for governor in Pennsylvania, who helped fund buses to take protesters to D.C. on 1/6 and was at the Capitol too, but claims to have left before the violence began. There's Mark Fincham running for Secretary of State in Arizona, who was also at the Capitol on 1/6, though he denies participating in the violence and is a former self-proclaimed oath keeper. There's Derek Van Orden running for the House in Wisconsin, who was also at the Capitol on 1/6, also denies any involvement in the violence, but also said recently that Christians can't be on the left. There's J.R. Majewski running for the House in Ohio, who was also at the Capitol on 1/6 and claims to be a combat veteran who served in Afghanistan, but the Air Force has no record of it. There's Tudor Dixon running for governor of Michigan, who has suggested Democrats tried to use the pandemic to try and topple the United States. There's Mehmet Oz running for the Senate in Pennsylvania, who has promoted quack cures and bragged about drinking his own urine. There's J.D. Vance running for the Senate in Ohio, who has promoted the Great Replacement Theory, beloved of white supremacists. There's Tim Michaels running for governor in Wisconsin, who said that if he's governor, Democrats will never win an election in that state ever again. There's Herschel Walker running for the Senate in Georgia, who is accused of threatening the lives of both an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend, the girlfriend accusation he denies. There's Sandy Smith running for the House in North Carolina, who was accused of domestic violence by both her daughter and two ex-husbands, something she denies. There's Dan Cox running for governor of Maryland, who was filmed accepting a gift from the Proud Boys. There's Blake Masters. Look, I'm out of time. I could go on and on about the GOP's extremist candidates, but there's just so many of them that I need like 60 minutes, not 60 seconds.